Welcome to PowerPoint 2010, Tips for Traveling to Present. I'm Trainer Lori. If you are traveling to make a presentation, I have seen disasters, and we don't want that. We want to be prepared. For example, maybe your computer is no longer available when you thought you were going to be able to use it. When you're presenting on another version, you saved it in 2010, but the only one that they have is 2003. When the media capabilities are different, when it doesn't show your video correctly, and when you've tried to attach files and fonts that may not show or work right. So we don't want that to happen. The first thing that I've seen that cause disasters when people are presenting to large groups didn't realize that somebody had put transitions on every slide. And so they weren't controlling when the slide happened. So they thought they were going to be talking about each of these, and all of a sudden there are questions. What happened? And that's because transitions had been set for a time. And so what we'll want to do is make sure that those are off and that only on mouse click is checked, and make sure you apply to all so that you can control the each slide with a mouse click. Fonts. This I see time and time again. You have this really cool, unusual font that you want to use, but the computer you've put it on now doesn't have that font, and so you can't see it. We do have an option in PowerPoint to, under File, Options, that's where we change the default, and under Save we have the option to embed the fonts in the file. This is not the default, it's not on. So you'll want to make sure that that is checked if you're going to be taking your show on the road. If you're inserting video, that's another big problem. Now remember, you may not have access to a website, so please don't insert video from a website, especially in a big convention center. They may not have access to it. Even if you have some kind of device that allows you to access the internet, it may not work properly, so please don't count on that. Always download your video and then insert your video from file. However, if you choose a file type that is available in 2010 but not in 2003, and you find yourself in a 2003 environment, your video won't play. And this, I know, can be very frustrating. So MP4s, .mov, and .qt or .swf. So QuickTime Movies and Adobe Flash Media will not play, and the latest MP4s will not play in 2003. So keep that in mind. You cannot see things in the past. Also, make sure that you insert the file if it is under 2 gig. By default, if it is over 2 gig, it will link to the file. This is a problem. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to make sure that that file still stays with your document, even if you're linking. So don't worry about that. Just keep in mind, if you have the option, insert the file. Animation pane, you want to turn that on because sometimes you don't have a mouse when you think you're going to, and generally when you insert a video it will automatically start when you click the video. But if you don't have a mouse option, let's say that you have some device that simply advances the slides and you don't have access to the mouse, then you'll want to change that. Turn off the trigger by clicking on the animate as part of sequence and change on click to after previous or with previous, one of the two. So you want it to automatically start when the slide starts. Another option under the pause video is video settings, and this is where you'll want to make sure your volume is up. So when you're in normal view in the PowerPoint presentation, you'll have this option. You'll see this. Make sure your sound is up, otherwise people might not be able to hear it. Also, because this file, it could be contained in the video. If it's contained in the presentation, then it's already embedded. But if it's not, if it's linked, if it shows, for example, a C drive or an I drive or some other location, make sure that when you copy it, you copy the video into the same file folder as the presentation itself. A lot of times I've seen where they have the music or the video in separate file folders, and then it doesn't play appropriately. It doesn't play the way they think it's going to play. So make sure it's saved in the same file folder. Same with audio. Certain files will not play in 2003, and just in case you have no control over what version, you might want to just go ahead and prepare for it to be 2003. So an MP4 or QuickTime audio. If we go into Animations, Play Audio, you see that there are 3 settings that we want to look at. The first is Effect. You can choose on some audio files when it starts playing. For example, if you have a CD that you've turned into an MP3 and you don't want the first 12 seconds of it, it has some intro music you don't care about, you want it to get right into the meat of the whatever the music is, you have that option here. You also choose when to stop playing it. So if you don't want it to play after the second or third slide, make sure that you say that, so it stops appropriately. You also have the timing tab, just like we did with video, and you can choose to make it play as part of a click sequence. So make sure that it's animated as part of a click sequence instead of making me have to click it in case I don't have that mouse. Also, your audio settings, if it is a linked file, make sure that the media files are in the same folder as the PowerPoint. Once you have inserted media, multimedia, either audio, video, or combination, make sure that you optimize the compatibility, and that makes sure it does everything it can to make sure that you can see it very well in a different version, and that the compress media option, make sure that if you're going to be presenting to a huge audience with a very large screen, you want it to be the very best quality, the presentation quality. However, if it's going to be a very small audience in a small room, then you could probably get away with internet quality. Then I highly recommend, even though it's a 2010, you'll want to save as type and choose PowerPoint 97-2003. And that gives you the ability to see what may not work right if it is in 2003. We can go to File, Save and Send, and then under Package Presentation for CD, and then Package for CD. And this says, what files would you like? And so you can see if there are linked files, which is nice. And if you click on Options, you can choose to take the linked files and to embed the fonts. So this is one place where you can have all of those things done for you. You can also put a password on it. So if you're putting it on a thumb drive and or a USB drive and you don't want other people to have access to it, just in case, you can put a password on it. When you're in the meeting room, make sure that you have that USB available, even if you have a laptop and you're planning to use your laptop. You never know what might happen with the laptop. It might get stolen, it might get broken, and this has happened time and time again. I hear horror stories, people telling me that this happened to them, so make sure that you always have that USB available just in case. Open the presentation, and then just hit F5 to start the show. A lot of times we can't remember. We get nervous. There's all these people looking at us and we can't remember. How do I start the presentation? Simply hit F5 and you're automatically in slideshow view. That's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click like, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.